Hi and welcome to the Creative Treehouse. My name is Robin Broom and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Thanks so much for joining me in the Treehouse today. Today my project is a watercolor background technique, and that's what this is. Actually the watercolor paper, and I did this card for a watercolor background technique class. That's kind of a mouthful just the other day, and this was just one of them. There's so many different techniques, but this is one that I'd like to show you today. There is an inside to the card as well. So let me tell you all the measurements and the products and things that I used. I used the stamp set Very Versailles. It, I believe, was retired last year. One of my all-time favorites. I will always keep it. You know, I don't think you'll ever see me getting rid of this one. I just love it. And you will need your card base is the soft suede, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you need a piece of crumb cake, and the crumb cake piece is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then the mossy meadow piece, and the mossy meadow piece is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. Then the watercolor paper is that Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and it is cut at 4 1/4 by 3. And the inside is a piece of the mossy meadow, and I cut mine at 5 1/16 by 3 13/16, and you may not want to deal with 16ths, and that's fine. You can change it up however you would like. And then the Very Vanilla on the inside, I cut at 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. All right, and the crumb cake piece that goes on top of the soft suede, I used the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder, and if you can kind of, let me see if I can get close enough that you can see, it's just really cool. I love that print, and that's what I used. I ran it through that embossing folder. All right, I think that's everything. The main thing about the card is that really cool watercolor technique. And let me get got a plastic paper here that's going to protect my work surface, and we're going to actually use it because we're going to be using Reinkers on it. And I used 3 Reinkers. I used Balmy Blue and the Mint Macaron and Crumb Cake. So, and I just put 1 drop of the Balmy Blue, and I put 2 drops of the crumb cake, and they don't really matter where you're putting them, and you'll see the method to this madness soon. And I did 3 of the mint macaron, and I think my thinking is sort of I'm thinking of landscapes, I'm thinking of trees, I'm thinking of the sky, and the crumb cake being branches, and the mint macaron being like the leaves. That's your greenery. So you've got your drops, and you can change them up however you would like for yours. Then you're going to take the spritzer. Make sure I get the right spritzer. Okay, I'm going to take the spritzer, and you're going to spritz it, and you're going to make it all kind of just spread out, each of those drops. And you don't want the dark circle to still exist. You want to keep kind of spraying it until that's gone on each of them. And then once they're all gone, make sure I got it. I feel like, yep, that's perfect. All right, and your footprint, if I didn't already say, is going to be, you're trying to make that a little bit smaller than your watercolor piece of paper. It started out smaller than that. You don't want it a lot bigger. All right, and then once that's there, you're going to just lay your watercolor paper on top, and you're going to kind of squish it lightly like that, and then you're going to lift up your watercolor paper to reveal what it turned out to look like. And I think that looks pretty cool. All right, there's excess down here, and you can let it wiggle around the card, or you can get your paper towel and sort of wipe some of it off, let it go onto the paper towel like so. And I personally like it to have the white, or kind of a very vanilla color showing, but that's up to you. If you don't like that and would like some more, you can kind of just dunk it back into your little pool, and there you go. So now I'm going to try to clean this up just a little bit with a paper towel, and I'm going to set this aside to dry for just a minute. I'm going to grab the paper towel and just see if I can make sure I don't have any excess leaking everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to set it over here just for a minute to dry, and I'll go ahead and work on some of the other pieces to allow that to dry. And we can do the inside. We can take our Very Vanilla piece and our Mossy Meadow piece, and what we're going to do is we're just going to stamp off with the Mossy Meadow color. So I've got my branches, and I don't have a scratch piece of paper available right close to me, so I'm just going to use this because I'm going to be able to turn it over. It's just my mat. So I'm going to stamp it once on there, and then I'm going to stamp it once here, which is just stamping off. So it's going to be a lot lighter color. So that's the inside. I'm going to flip this over and just put those together like that, and that is my inside. Let me wipe this off here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead, while we're allowing that to dry just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put these two together, and then we'll go back to the watercolor piece that we had. All right, if you're using the liquid glue, which I absolutely love, my favorite adhesive, it doesn't take a lot of the adhesive. It's a pretty strong adhesive, and it allows you to move your project around before it completely sets up. So there's the inside. I'm going to set that, my inside aside. Now I'm going to decide which one I want to be the top and which one I want to be the bottom. And I think I'll let that be the top and that be the bottom. And we're going to go with the words right now. And the words are in crumb cake. And my kind of thought is, if your stamp pad is the same size, or possibly your stamp is bigger than your stamp pad, then I think it's easiest to turn the ink pad upside down and stamp it this way instead of the reverse. Okay, all right, so we've got that inked up. Let me slide that out of the way because we're about to spritz, and I don't want to spritz and get it everywhere. Okay, I'm going to take the spritzer, and I'm just going to lightly, kind of at a distance, I'm probably about 7 inches away or so, lightly spritz. And then I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to stamp, and I'm stamping, part of it's actually off the paper. I want it to go off. And then you get kind of a watercolory look. It's not, because it's spritzed, it kind of runs and looks sort of watercolory. If you think it's not watercolory enough, of course I'm making up words here, you can spritz it again, but I would go even further. I'd probably go maybe a whole full foot up or whatever. Okay, and then that gives you, because you don't want it to just completely go away, but it just gives you that really cool look. All right, and I enjoy the blues and the greens that it makes as well. Okay, so that is the only time that we'll need that one. We're going to do the same thing with the leaves. Let me give it a little bit of a, clean it just a little bit, and we're going to change colors because we need it to be the crumb cake first. Okay, and all right, again, the same thing. This is a bigger stamp, so we're going to take it, and I'm going to bring the ink to the stamp. Okay, and then we're going to spritz it. This one, I might put a little bit more spritzing into it because, let me move this out of the way, don't want it to get wet. To me, this is the background, and so I want it to be a little more faded. All right, I'm going to bring that back. Let me clean this again here. Okay, and I will be going off the page again. Okay, so here's the crumb cake. Okay, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to do the Mossy Meadow. Okay. Same thing. I take the Mossy Meadow to my stamp, and let me slide it back out of the way again, and I'm going to spritz it probably about, I don't know, 8 inches or so away. Just a couple of spritzes, make sure it's all over. Okay, and then I'm going to put another one, go a little bit further down, and lift it up. Okay, and it's always easier to add more water later. It's kind of a mess if you put too much water at the beginning. Okay, let me clean up a little bit. Okay, so that is what it's going to look like, and you're going to be able to see it a lot better. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put just a tiny snother spritz, if I can find where I just stuck my spritzer. Yep. And I'm going to do it one more time, way up high, because I want the green to be just a little tiny bit more watercolor-like. Okay. And it doesn't take much to do it, and I don't want to overdo it. So I did it at a big distance, but I do definitely see the water on that one. Okay, I'm going to slide this out of the way. Clean up. Let me grab a new paper towel. All right, and let's go ahead and put our card together while we allow that to dry for just a minute. So we've got the crumb cake piece. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this away because I think it's going to show the colors a lot more realistic without that plastic glare. All right, so I'm going to take the one that we embossed, or actually I embossed it earlier, and I'm going to add the liquid glue to it, and it'll be the first layer that goes onto the card base. And there's just a little bit of the soft suede showing, and you could trim the crumb cake a little bit smaller if you want to allow a little bit more of the soft suede to show. All right, and then the next thing that we'll do, we can go ahead and put our inside. We glued those together, we did that, so let's put those on the inside. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of the glue. All right, so our insides together. And then we're going to put that probably, I'm going to put it just a little bit, probably like that. And if you want it to not be off kiltered or whatever, you can certainly do that. All right, our card is probably dry. You're also welcome to take the heat tool and work with that, and you could splatter some more, get a toothbrush or take your tool and just kind of tap it like that and make some dots around. I personally like that, but I took some of the twine and would wrap that around, and if I can find my extra piece, I probably won't be able to tie it on camera because I cut them just exactly the right size, but I can do it off of here, and we'll just put just a little bit. It's easy to do it off of the spool itself, and then you don't waste as much of the twine or ribbon or whatever you're using. Okay. All right, let me see if I can make a bow really quickly. I have yet to use the new reverse tweezers, but I'm excited about it. This would have been a perfect time to use those. I did purchase them, I just have not used them yet. Okay, then I would be able to do my bow just exactly the way I need to. Okay. A glue dot would also work really well to keep the twine in place. All right, I think I like that. Let me grab my snips. I'll give it another equal tail, and I will put this one about like that. Looks good. Okay, Okay, again, using my liquid glue. And you could also use, because it's watercolor, if you've added a whole lot of water, tear and tape would also be a great adhesive to use with this, because it's very strong and it's going to keep your edges from curling. I have not used a lot of water, so I feel like my liquid glue will be just enough. Okay, I'm going to put that down. Give it just a second. I'm going to give it probably longer because it was still a little damp when I put it together. But that is it. And there's our inside. So let me get our original and I'll set it right here so you can see both of them. Let me see if I can hold them up just a little bit closer to the camera. So every time you do it, it's going to be slightly different, but I just love the technique. I think it's so fun just to see. It's almost like magic just to pull it up and see, oh, what does it look like this time? So I hope this is a technique that might even be new to you and you might like to give it a try. If you do, please let me know how you did it and what colors you chose, maybe the stamp set that you chose. I love to see the different varieties, and if you can send a picture in the comments too, that would be awesome. I'd love to see it and encourage you on your creative journey. Thanks so much for joining me today. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love it if you'd push that subscribe button and you'll get to see a video from me about every other week. And I don't know, right now I'm a little over 1,000 subscribers and I would like to just have that keep on going. So I will see you next time in the Creative Treehouse for the next project. Tune in to see what it is. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.